Hello!
Hello, AOS fans!
It's the Agents of Sigmar. In today's game, we are playing 40k.
40 what?
40k.
Never heard of it. Is that some sort of old computer game?
Something like that, yes.
Right.
It's 10th edition, and it's our first game in I don't know how many years, probably as many years.
Well, they come out every 3 years. We normally play. I'm not sure we played 9th, so it's probably our first game since 8th.
Yeah, so it's probably a good, I don't know, 6 years maybe.
Yeah.
And we are playing with the new strike forces that come from the 10th edition box.
Ooh, combat patrol type things.
The combat patrol-y type things, exactly that, yes. I am playing the Vardenghast Swarm.
And I'm playing Strike Force Octavius.
There's a few choices you can make when you take these, so it's nice that you've got a little bit of choice over customising it versus your opponent. For me, the Winged Prime is keeping their default Psychostatic Veil to give him a lone operative and a 4+ invulnerable save and a -1 to hit in melee.
So you say.
But for my secondary objective, I'm taking the Chitinous Tide, which nets me 5 victory points at the end of a turn rather than at the beginning in the command phase if I control an objective within 6 inches of your territory.
For my Strike Force Octavius, I keep the Champion Duelist enhancement, giving my captain his weapon precision and lethal hits. For my secondary mission, I've chosen Wrath of the Emperor. I get 2 extra victory points each phase. My captain kills something. My captain.
So if he shoots someone, you get 2 victory points. If he chops someone's head off, you get 2 victory points. That's 2 victory points.
Victory points for chopping things up.
We are playing the classic Clash of Patrols mission, the first one, just to start to get our teeth into things. And you win the initial roll-off and choose to make me go first.
Yes.
So for setup, I have my Von Ryan's Leapers sneaking up on the left-hand flank, ready to try and jump on top of those Terminators. And I've got my Prime sitting on the left-hand side of my deployment zone. I've got a unit of 10 Gaunts on the left flank as well, hoping to run over after that first objective on the left. And I've got my Barb Gaunts in the centre, along with my Psychophage, hoping to advance up the middle of the board. On the right-hand side, I then have a unit of another 10 Gaunts, hoping to grab that right objective.
Yeah, I'm feeling quite overwhelmed by numbers here.
I think it's about like 20-1 or something.
Yeah, it feels. I don't really know much about the relative power and things of these units. So you've got a big horrible monster, and I've just got these sort of rubbishy kind of
average
infantry
blokes.
people just standing around with big guns. So on my right side, I put the Terminators, and in those Terminators, I stuck a Librarian. Sort of to lead the unit. Then in the middle, I put the Infernus Marines, who are going to infernate things. And out on his own, for some reason I can't remember, I put my captain all on his own. I guess I'm hoping he can get an objective and just chop some things up.
And get victory points every time he kills something, so going after something nice and weak like the Gaunts could rack you up some quick and easy victory points.
Yep.
We then roll off and you decide to make me go first, probably to work out how this game actually works.
That's probably lovely.
In the first command phase, we both gain 1 command point, but there's no victory points to be had right now. For my movement phase, I pretty much just run everything up the board as fast as I possibly can. The Prime shifts up on the left flank, shielded by the Leapers, who don't advance very much because I'm going to charge with them against the Terminators. The Termagants on the left move up towards the left objective, and the Barb Gaunts move up the centre, but don't go too far. The Psychophage also advances up, running straight through the ruins in the middle of the board, hoping to get over to the objective on the other side and maybe start chewing up those Infernus Marines. And on the right-hand side, the Termagants swarm over to cover the right objective. In the shooting phase, there is no shooting because everything's either moved really fast or is not close enough. In the charging phase, I then charge with the Leapers into the Terminators, and I just managed to roll enough on the charge roll to get them into combat. It's at this point that you decide to use one of your command points.
I do, and I fire Overwatch. So I wasn't expecting to hit very, very much, and indeed I didn't. And any hits that did find their mark, you just flicked it away with your chitinous pads.
Yeah, so it didn't cause a single wound there. The Leapers pile in. They do manage to drag down 1 Terminator with some lucky rolls, but then you pile in and attack back.
I do. I start with my Librarian. I use the Force weapon. I kill 1 and nearly slay a second.
Ouch.
And then the Power Fists, and then the remaining Terminators wade in with their Power Fists and basically grind those Leapers into a pulp.
Just get smashed to pieces.
Yeah.
Terminators much better than I thought they were. Von Ryan's Leapers, nowhere near as good as I'd hoped.
So for my turn 1, still reeling from the success of that combat, I move Octavius up to the left flank to head off the Termagant brood that's approaching down that side. My Infernus Marines, I move them into the centre to hold the objective and try and keep that advancing Psychophage at bay. The Terminators, sort of covered in bits of a Reaper, move up the right flank and to now target the Prime, who is kind of sitting out in the open.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd be a bit more covered at the minute.
And I target him with my Oath of Moment.
He's in so much trouble.
In the shooting phase, Octavius shoots at the Termagants and I kill 3 and a hail of accurate rounds, which gives me 2 victory points. The Infernus Marines turn their blazing infernos on the Psychophage, and although I bathe it in Prometheum, you only take 1 wound.
Yeah, he's pretty tough.
He's a tough
Pretty
cookie.
nasty.
As the Terminators then draw a line of sight to the Prime, you use a command point.
I do. I use hyper-reactive to give you a -1 to hit on shooting at him.
The Assault Cannon does 4 wounds on its own.
Oh.
And then the Storm Bolters finish you off.
He's just dead again. Just another one dead. I was hoping the -1 might help, but with your Oath of Moment, you get all those re-rolls. It just makes it so much easier to take things apart.
So Octavius then kind of cuts back across the board and charges the Psychophage, which is probably a mistake because he wants to wound small things to get victory points, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I strike first, but only 1 attack makes it through.
I then roll my Feel No Pain rolls and I shrug off 1 of the wounds, which means he takes 1 more and he's down to 8 remaining. I then attack back with D6 plus 1 attacks totaling 4, but you shrug off both the wounds.
Yeah, so I'm alright, I'm alright.
So my second turn, we both got 2 command points. I then gain 15 victory points because I hold 3 objectives
Now,
at
hang
this
on a
point.
minute, I need to demand a recount.
No, 3
I got
objectives.
2. I got 2, that's terrible. 2 plays 15. I'm
Yeah.
not feeling too confident about this now.
2 plays 15 at this point in the game. In the movement phase, my Termagants on the left flank move up, start firing on those Infernus Marines, holding the centre objective, hoping to weaken them a bit, and the Barbgants move forward a little bit, some clambering on top of the building, ready to also start firing shots at the Terminators when they show up, because they're going to turn up fairly soon, I think, now.
Oh, they're fine.
Yeah. The Termagants on the right flank move around to also threaten those Infernus Marines. The more shots I can get in, the better, and then hopefully I can hold on to that objective and net myself bonus victory points. In the shooting phase, the Psychophage can still fire despite being in combat because he's a monster, and I unleash its attacks on Octavius. I then roll a 1 for how many attacks I get, which isn't a lot, so I spend a command point, and I manage to re-roll a 4. Auto hitting with all those means that 3 wounds get through to Octavius.
But he's got good armour.
Terminator armour is dead tough, and you shrug them all off.
Do.
The Barbgaunts then open fire on the Infernus Marines because those Terminators aren't currently in line of sight, and I get 10 attacks, which translates to 3 wounds.
But I've got pretty good armour, so I reckon I've got a good chance of not taking very many hits.
What'd you roll?
3 1s.
3.
So one Marine is dead and another is wounded. 3 1s, you can't beat it.
Oh yes. I then remember that I should also have blast on these attacks, which means I get effectively 2 more shots, but I don't do any extra damage with those. The Termagants on the left flank then open fire on the Marines, managing to take down 1 Marine, the wounded one. Strength 5 guns they have, which is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then the ones on the right also open fire, doing 1 more wound, taking out the wounded Marine.
Ow, 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 ow.
There is no charging now because everything's either already in combat or has shot at things. In the fight phase, the Psychophage rolls 1 again for his attacks, and I use another command point to re-roll it, and I get a 5.
Ow.
3 of those attacks manage to hit and wound.
No, they don't.
No.
This is how I remember how 40k works.
Ping, ping, ping.
Octavius strikes back. I hit 4 times and I do wound twice.
I then fail to save either of those, and I take 4 Feel No Pain saves, shrugging off 2 of them, which means he's now down to 6 wounds. He's almost halfway down.
I'm whittling him.
There's a lot of whittling going on.
So it's my turn too,
Yep.
and I'm winning on the CP front.
4-2.
But I'm not doing quite so well on the old victory point front. I do claw it back a little bit. I'm holding 1 objective, so it goes back to 7 plays 15.
Yep.
The Infernus Marines passed their battle shock test with a mighty 11. And then I add the Oath of Moment onto the Psychophage.
Oh dear.
I then spend a command point for duty and honour to retain the objective before moving away. For movement, the Infernus Marines move back to the left flank to intercept the approaching Termagants, but they were slowed down because of your Barbgaunt bombing them, presumably.
Yeah.
And then, purely for cinematic purposes, I put the Terminators onto the roof of the ruin to rain fire down onto the other Termagants.
It did look like a pretty good shot from there, though.
It did. The Infernus Marines fire at the Terminator squad. I get 8 hits, 5 wounds.
And 3 succumb to the flames, leaving only 4 little Gribblies left.
Go, 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 go. I spend another command point to enable the Terminator squad to reroll 1s on wounding.
Ouch.
So I open fire with the assault cannon into the barber gaunts, managing to miss twice and rolling 3 1s to wound.
Luckily, you used the stratagem to turn those into 3 wounds.
Absolutely did. You deflect 2, however, so not even 1 barb gaunt goes down. So the Terminators are suddenly feeling less invincible than they were a moment ago. Stormbolters from the entire squad open fire, and I hit 13 times out of 16 and wound 9.
Ouch. I only make 6 5+ saves.
Only make 6, that's pretty good.
And 3 go down.
3 go down. And then I unload my Witch Fire at the Psychophage.
Which fire? That fire.
Yeah, I get 3 attacks and I hit and wound all of them thanks to my rerolls.
I then fail 2 of my saves because it's a -2, which turns into 4 wounds as it's D3 apiece. Whoa. And I only make 1 of my feel no pain rolls, meaning it takes 3 more wounds and it's down to 3 remaining.
Whittle. I then fail my test on a 1 and I spend a CP to re-roll it and I get a 2, which means I pass it just. So for charging, the Infernus Marines charge the Termagants on the left flank with a 9 and the Terminators then charge with a 10.
Ouch.
Infernus Marines fight first, but they only fell 1.
Not so good there.
No, then the Terminators line up to attack and you spend another CP.
Yeah, to give you another -1 to hit on the Termagants.
I start with the psychic weapon of the Librarian, slicing down just 1 this time.
Oh, that's a bit rubbish.
And then the Terminator Captain swings his power sword, next up slicing 2 more, a bit more successful there.
Dear.
And then finally with the Power Fists.
We actually made a mistake at this point because each Power Fist does 2 damage, and we actually played it that when you did that 2 damage, that took out 2 Termagants, but they should only take one Termagant each and basically overkill it, but the excess damage was lost. But in this instance, they were just wiped out instead.
I see, so I should have.
There might have been a couple left remaining, but probably not many.
Octavius tees up, he hits 6 times and he wounds 3. You save 1.
So that turns into 4 wounds, which means he's only got 3 wounds remaining, and I need to pass at least 2 of my feel no pains, and I saved 2 of them! The Psychophage is left alive with 1 wound.
Ouch.
The Psychophage bites back with 5 attacks this time, 4 hits and 2 devastating wounds, which causes 4 mortal wounds immediately.
And I choose this time to fail both saves.
Oh dear.
And Octavius goes down.
Your head is bitten off by the Psychophage, who is also nearly dead itself. Then the Termagants attack the Infernus Marines, but fail to get through the armour. On my 3rd turn, I score another 15 victory points, though, which isn't bad. I
definitely feel like there's some cheating going on here. It's 7 to 30.
And I'll score another 5 at the end of this turn for my Chitinous Tide secondary objective for holding the objective near your territory.
Oh, another 35. How am I going to come back to that?
In the movement phase, the Psychophage moves forwards just a little bit. I was planning on charging, but then I realised I want to keep hold of that objective for the Chitinous Tides objective. But it's just enough so that I can then fire on the Terminators.
Well, I'm going to decide to overwatch you on the off chance that I can kill him before...
It's only got like 1 wound left.
Exactly, just 1 lucky hit. But no 6s for me, or there might have been some 6s. Nothing got through.
No. I then spend 1 of my command points to use my Teeming Brood stratagem to bring back D6 Termagants to the squad on the right flank. But only rude. 2 come back.
It's just rude being able to bring things back.
In the shooting phase, the Barb Gaunts unleash hell on the Terminators, getting 20 hits thanks to Blast and all the D6 I roll, and exactly half of those hit and 9 of those wound.
But miraculously, I actually save 8 of them.
Ouch. Only 1 wound, no Terminators go down. This is the problem with Terminators, they are tough as nails.
Yeah.
The Psychophage then fires as well, but only gets 1 hit, and it does wound though.
I found my save, so another wound on the Terminator.
There's still none taken out, one's still chomping around with 1 wound left. In the charge phase, there's nothing to charge. And on to the combat phase. The Termagants leap onto the Infernus Marines once more with their little 2 extra buddies along, and they do 1 more wound.
I hack back, but I only managed to cut 1 of you down. So net gain for you there.
And in the end of that turn, because I'm holding the objective that's near your deployment zone, I gain 5 more victory points for my Chitinous Tide secondary objective.
7 plays 35. So in my turn 3, I score 5 more victory points for the objective that the Terminators are holding, taking it up to 12 plays 35. I keep the Oath of the Moment on the Psychophage. I'm going to bring that bastard beast down. I spend another command point to keep control of the objective his Terminators are on before I'm going to move them away. and they do move forward. They stride forward, determined to maximise their target options. Shooting, I use a combat point to enable the Terminator squad to reroll 1s on wounds or any versus monsters. And the Librarian focuses all his firepower onto the Psychophage. All 3 shots hit, but even with rerolls, only 1 wound.
I then fail my save and it turns into 2 wounds, but I do then roll double 6s for my feel no pain and the Psychophage lives.
It's charmed Psychophage. I pass the test to check if the Librarian gets injured. The Librarian then fires with his Stormbolter, hitting all 4 shots and wounding with all 4.
Oh, I fail one of my saves and I fail my feel no pain and the Psychophage is finally dead.
Phew.
I then roll a 1 so it doesn't explode and cause any more wounds to anyone nearby, which would have been quite cool, but it just slumps dead onto the floor.
The rest of the Terminators then open fire into the Barb Gaunts, and first the Assault Cannon gets 1 wound.
I save the other 2 wounds that weren't mortals.
And the Stormbolters let rip, hitting 9 times, wounding 8.
I managed to save all but 3 of them, which means that the Barb Gaunt then gets taken down and another's left wounded. So
then the Terminators really got the bit between their teeth now. They charge in with a mighty 9 and smash into the remaining Barb Gaunts. In the fighting phase, the Librarian swings his fist and hits and wounds with everything.
I fail all of my saves and the Librarian obliterates everything.
He's not bad for a book reader, is he?
No, not bad at all, really.
And the Infernus Marines strike at the Terminators and wipe all them out as well, hitting and wounding 5 times.
At this point, there is not actually a niddle left on the board.
No little niddles left.
So whilst I might have outnumbered you about 20-1 at the start, there's nothing left on my side, and you've actually not lost a lot.
I haven't.
On my turn 4, I get no VPs this time.
Funny
Yeah, I mean, I could have tried to work it out somehow, I think. But yes, none for me, so it's still 12 plays 35. In the movement phase, I use one of my command points on the Teeming Brood's ability to bring back 6 termagants, but I only put down 5 for some reason. I put them on the right flank to then threaten that objective held by your final 2 Infernus Marines. In the shooting phase, I also completely forget to shoot with them, which might have been helpful considering it's a strength 5 weapon.
Oh dear.
I then charge them, but I only get a 3, so I use my last command point to reroll that and get an 8, so I can get into combat.
So I spend my last command point to Overwatch, seeing as hits are automatic, but I only get 4. But I do take one of your termagants down.
Which isn't bad. In the fight phase, they leap onto the Infernus Marines, but don't manage any wounds at all.
In response, the Marines crush 2 of the bugs, leaving 2 alive, but it does prevent me from claiming the objective.
Yes.
But I do get 10 at the start of my turn 4, taking it up to 22 place 35 and clawing it back slowly. Those 5 points, that's a lot of points. So my Infernus Marines smash their battle shock test with a 9, and then I use my command point. I've only got 1 left, but I use it for duty and honour to ensure the objective the Terminators have claimed remained under my control. So the Terminators advance, but I only get 1, so they plod off around the ruins towards their objective again. Shooting, the Infernus Marines shoot again at the Terminators, blasting 1, leaving 1 left, which is then swiftly cut to death in the combat phase.
Aww.
And once again, there are no needs left on the table.
Aww.
So it's 22 place 35 now.
At the beginning of my turn, no victory points for me again. I then use my Teeming Brood's ability in the movement phase with my last command point and bring a group back. This time I remembered to shoot, and I actually managed to wound 3 times.
And I didn't make very many saves. I failed 2 of the saves.
Which means you've only got 1 Marine left with a single wound remaining. I then charge him, getting a mighty 11 to swarm him.
I spend a combat point to Overwatch, hitting a mighty 6 times.
Which all wound. I managed to save 3, which means you burn 3 to a crisp. That phase, though, the remaining 5 smoking termagants cause 2 wounds to you.
I fail 1, but I re-roll and save.
Oh.
I tap back and club another to death, leaving 4. I haven't got any victory points till the end of the turn because of the mission. It's 22 place 35, and we're 1-all for command points. The lone Infernus Marine passes his test. In movement, the Terminators move round to cover the 3rd objective, securing me 15 points at the end of this turn.
Oh dear.
The Infernus Marine shoots with his pistol but fails. So I miss with my 2 attacks. I use my Oath of Moment, but I only re-roll 1 of those misses. I think I could have re-rolled all of them. But I get 2 hits and 2 wounds.
And 1 gets through, which means another termagant is down. The remaining 3 attack back, but no wounds get through. He's so close to being dead, I still can't get there.
Standing alive on his own. At the end of the 5th round, I score 15 points, and amazingly, I take it 37 to 35. I can't believe that. I think I was sure I was going to lose that game.
I think this is a classic example that the Nids massively outnumber you, so they need to swarm the objectives early and crank up enough points because
can't catch up.
they're going to die, and I just need to get far enough ahead that by the time you catch up, you just can't catch up enough.
Yeah, I ended up with winning by the 2 victory points from the captain doing some killing at the very beginning.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. He won it for you in the end.
He did.
And it was amazing because when you look back at it, I think you'd lost 1 Terminator and another one had like 1 wound remaining. You'd lost your Captain and 4 Marines. So you'd lost half a dozen men in total. Whereas on my side of the board, you'd taken everything out, which is over 30 models, including the Psychophage.
So I hope you enjoyed this. Let us know if you want to see more. We haven't got massive plans to play more of this at the moment, mainly because we're trying to paint up everything else that we've got. But we could do if people want to watch it. So let us know what you think.
Yeah, if you'd like to see more, let us know what kind of forces you'd like to see. We do like to paint lots of different things, so the more options we have, the better, I think. In that.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see you soon in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Bye!